have takes. Welcome to Football Takes. Football, yeah! Football!
All right, dudes. We got Thor Nystrom in the house, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff, Phil Mackey, and we're going to sling some football takes here. If you're new to this brand new podcast and channel and you enjoy our football takes, click that subscribe button and the like button on this episode and the channel on YouTube. And then if you've found us on Apple or Spotify, or if you're listening to this maybe on the Purple Daily feed, you can find the Football Takes feed on Apple, Spotify. 5-star rating, positive review can help us keep growing this thing. But gentlemen, how are we? We're now a few days removed. If you're Sam Darnold and Kenneth Walker III, how much money would it take to like have to spend, all due respect to Disneyland, but I kind of want to like hang out with my teammates. I don't know.
Did you see him in the teacup?
Yeah, the teacup thing.
Couldn't they get on Space Mountain or something? It was like, yeah.
I think the teacup thing is perfect for a photo op. That's why.
Sam looked like he was having a good time. I don't know if he had a gummy or if he was drinking an IPA.
You probably get, you get a nice payout for that. So
how much does
what about a
Disneyland
small
want?
world? If you're going to do a fun one, do a small world.
They probably did. They probably did.
Yeah,
How much does Disneyland
And then
pay Super
Sam
Bowl
went to a restaurant.
Gotta be a lot.
In a restaurant in Seattle yesterday, like a grand opening of a restaurant, and just hung out there and like answered questions. It's very. He's probably cashed in quite a bit in the past 2 days just by doing that. So.
There are a couple threads about. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Like, was it 50 grand or was it like a $500,000? That's what I want to know. If you're Darnold and Kenneth Walker. Okay.
I'm not like a Disney adult guy. In grad school, the woman I was dating at the time, she was really into Harry Potter. And for spring break, when we went on spring break for grad school, she wanted to go. I forget if it was Disney World or Disneyland or, the names and whatever. Well, anyhow, we had to get up at like 5 a.m. because we have to get in line for the Harry Potter. And I read the first Harry Potter book and I, watched the first, that's fine. It's not my, but it's fine. Right. Well, anyway, you're going to do it. We stood in that line for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Even though we got there
I would have broken up in line and just gotten home.
And then when we got in there, the ride, all it was you sit in a little like cart thing, and then it's in front of a green screen. So it's like tilting you, and then it's like, oh, you're on the magic wand or whatever. I was so bored. I was like, we
Welcome
waited
to
4
acting.
hours for this? We could have watched a full NFL game and, had a good time. But
What's funny is, Thor ripping his ex-girlfriend for being obsessed with Harry Potter.
She doesn't watch.
And she's on a podcast somewhere ripping Thor for being obsessed with H-backs with neck rolls. This guy, dude.
But guess what? Thor's right. She's wrong.
Yeah, on this account.
And 4 hours. That's ridiculous.
And it was the thing, Judd, now this is more ubiquitous in airports, but the thing where it's like the snake lines, and so you have to walk by them, but then you have to come back. You have to walk by them every time, like the same people, and then you don't have to make eye contact. It's on both sides. Yeah, the snake lines got to go.
The snake lines are tough because then it's like, do you after like the fourth time you've kind of gone by the same people, do you say something to them? Do you kind of feel like you know them, but you don't really know them?
And if you make a head nod at one point, you almost can't do the head nod every single time after that.
You guys, keep your head down.
You got to keep it down.
That's why you just stay home.
Yeah.
Judd. All right.
You're right.
My first take is it's more of a theme here. I'm going to play quarterback matchmaker, off-season quarterback matchmaker. This is speed dating. This is NFL quarterback speed dating here. I'm going to give you the name of either a free agent or reportedly available quarterback and the team that I think they will or should wind up with. And I'll throw out quarterback and team and a couple reasons, and then you guys will just kind of go through these pairings, okay?
Okay.
Malik Willis, Dolphins. General manager, head coach from Green Bay.
Yep.
Bobby Slowick he's sticking around and he's being elevated to offensive coordinator. Shanahan roots, outside zone runs. Imagine Malik Willis in a run-heavy zone scheme, bootleg, play action out the back door, using mobility, throwing on the run. Now, the Dolphins are like $16 million over the salary cap, and they have to offload Tua. That might be part of a cap penalty as well, depending on how they do it. So it might be kind of tough cap-wise. But I think with the Green Bay leadership and the Dolphins looking to make a splash in that division and be relevant, Malik Willis Dolphins.
I love this. Yeah, if you can figure out the money, I think this one makes all the sense in the world. We know that Miami is going to need a starting quarterback for the first year of that new administration. We know that they're going to get rid of Tua, and we also know that there's a dearth of starting caliber quarterbacks on the market. That's why I think one of the interesting things of this offseason is how much money is Malik Willis going to get. My guess, just straight guess, but it's been 2 years, $50 million, because all I did for that was, what did Justin Fields get last year from the Jets? He got $240, and so $20 million a year over 2 years. So I bump it to 25. I mentioned this on Twitter, but recently I had a conversation with an agent and told him my prediction of that, and he scoffed at me. And he said if Malik was my client, the conversations would begin at $100 million, right over 3, and then kind of go from there. And Malik's agent, assuredly, that's also going to be his goal with it. But I'm just sort of fascinated the dynamics where you have a dearth of the quarterback assets on the market, and you have more teams that need it than are available. So what does that do to Malik Willis's market? But yeah, he's going to get paid
$100 million. If I am a competent executive, I ain't paying that. Sorry.
Well, it'd be like a fake. It'd be like a 3-year deal that's like 1 year of.
Yeah, because Darnold, they could have gotten out of after 2 years for sure, maybe even 1 year.
It was 1 year they could have gotten out. Yeah.
Yeah, like so. Maybe a structure like that was sort of the idea or whatever. But I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I think the market as it is this offseason is going to lead to a huge contract from Willis.
He probably ultimately, perfect world, at least until he proves himself over a period of time, because as a backup, you come in, it's not really the same thing. He probably belongs in that middle ground of quarterback pay.
Yeah.
Ideally, that's where I would put him until he proves himself. And if he proves himself, okay, let's talk. But it always worries me when a guy pops up as a backup, and then we're like, okay, he's going to be a starter for sure. So I would be very careful of what I guarantee him. That's for sure.
Okay. Kyler Murray to the Jets via trade, because I think the Jets are in such a spot. It'll be hard for some of these free agents. Like if you're Malik Willis and you see what happens, this graveyard of quarterbacks, right, that go in there, and if you have an option to sign somewhere else, you should go somewhere else. So if you're the Jets, I think you would look over at Kyler Murray purely out of desperation, knowing that you're not going to draft a quarterback where you sit in the first round. I guess maybe on day 2. And the only way, if Kyler Murray gets cut and hits the market, he ain't choosing you. Like he goes somewhere else. So I think the Jets get desperate and they float like a day 2 draft pick,
the
maybe
Jets
more.
Get desperate?
Yes. And they look to solve their franchise problems in one trade with Kyler Murray. And spoiler alert, I don't think it ends well for either party. But I will say Kyler Murray to the Jets via trade.
Could definitely see this one. Yeah.
Jets.
This would be a very Jets kind of a move. And Kyler, it seems like it's over there in Arizona. And Kyler, he left his first college station because the coach then at the time, Kevin Sumlin, was playing another quarterback as well. The true freshman year, Kyle Allen was another high recruit that they had gotten. But yeah, that was the end for Kyler. Once Kyler decides it's the end, it's probably the end. So yeah, they're looking around, and I think the Jets make a lot of sense.
In a trade, the thing I'm actually most curious about, if he goes to the Jets or elsewhere, is what's done with the contract.
Well, that's the good news for the Jets, is they have the 4th most cap space of any team in the league. So they're sitting, they have like $85 million in cap space. Okay. And that's before any cuts or restructures. So
their quarterback signing from last offseason?
Yeah, they're still on the hook for some of that, right? That was a 2-year deal, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but they'll be able to get out of that without much pain.
Yeah, but all the other, there's other teams. The Dolphins have to find a way to get creative and make the contract space work, and I'm sure there's ways they could easily restructure some players. But the Jets would be less worried about the 2 years and $79 million than other teams that are cash strapped.
Yep.
I like your point though. If you are a free agent and you sign with the Jets, God help you.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's still Aaron Glenn, who I think is going to be out after 2026.
But this does make a lot of sense, and I feel like Kyler in his head would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm me and Garrett Wilson, and if they re-sign Brees, like we could, in the world's biggest city, turn that
KOD.
thing around. Yeah. And then after 2 weeks, he's like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Train wreck. More on this on Thor Talks Purple and Purple Daily, but Kirk Cousins to the Vikings for all the reasons that make sense. The connection, if you're looking to hedge with McCarthy, I think a 1-year hedge with a veteran who can also mentor. Also, if McCarthy can't beat Cousins in a fair camp battle, okay, maybe that says something. So you can find out a lot and raise your floor by just bringing Kirk Cousins back on a cheap deal when they cut him in Atlanta. And if you need to, you just go back to the drawing board in 2027 in a quarterback draft class that looks like it's going to be pretty good. So Cousins, Vikings.
This one makes all the sense in the world. And Kirk, he hasn't decided if he's going to play next year or not. I had heard the reports that are now coming out about he's going to consider TV and walking away. He's also going to consider coming back. But if he does, the Vikings, again, I think that's the best fit, both for what they're looking for, and I think also for Kirk. And there is a shot that Kirk, and maybe even a decent shot, that Kirk would get offered more money on the free agent market for just next season. And there's also a real shot that the opportunity to play early will be better at other spots than the Vikings. If he does decide to play, though, I think he might choose the Vikings anyway. You think about a guy that knows he's going to go into television after, it's either going to be this offseason or next offseason, right? With Kirk going into TV, and he's going to be really good at it. The personality's great. He's very emotive. He's going to be a star on TV. The one thing, though, that he doesn't really have that most ex-quarterbacks or ex-prominent athletes have in going to television, there's not one fan base that, loves him or where he can go home to right now, right? Washington was out on him after the free agent stuff. The Vikings fans kind of turned on him at the end there. The Atlanta fans, certainly, he has not ingratiated himself there. If Kurt went back to Minnesota and then Minnesota readopts him, that's sort of his franchise. And I think that could mean something to him personally, but it also could sort of improve him going to TV and stuff like that and the acceptance and, everything like that. I think he also might see a value in that of a fan base adopting him going into retirement. So I wanted to bring that up too.
What if the Jets came to him with a Cousins type of contract? Like, hey, Kirk, we'll pay you. We'll pay you.
You mean like $30 million or something?
Yeah, like something that's very Jet stupid.
I don't think
Rick Spielman in his bag.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
If you're him, you also,
I agree.
At this age, you don't want it to that point. You don't want to look like an idiot out there in this green uniform losing 15 games or something. So, and we'll dive deeper into that on Purple Daily and Thor Talks Purple. But okay, Mac Jones, Steelers, and my logic is twofold here. I think Rodgers. We'll see if he retires, but all this McCarthy stuff at the podium when he was asked, "Hey, would you take Aaron Rodgers back as your starting quarterback?" And he said all the right things. Yeah, I would. Why would I not? He was a positive for the team, whatever. But do you think Mike McCarthy, in his last stop as a head coach, his hometown Steelers, do you think he's interested in getting fired a second time because of Aaron Rodgers? They had a football falling out a number of years ago. Not to mention, the 49ers are driving a bargain here, right? They aren't just going to trade Mac Jones for any old day 2 pick. I think the Niners have set their position to try and get a first-round pick for Mac Jones, maybe a second-round pick. Well, the Steelers, with their projected comp pick, also in the third round, they have 5 draft picks in the first 2 days of the draft, starting with the 21st pick in the first round. So if there is a team that's desperate for a quarterback, a big-bodied 6'4", he can play in the cold weather. He played in New England his first few years. And played pretty well his first year. If there's a team that could give up one of their their first-round pick or their day 2 picks, the Steelers have a pretty large stash. So I think they're going to look to solve it with Mac Jones, maybe with that 21st overall pick. I could see that.
Yeah, this one's interesting. The 49ers, they say they won't trade Mac Jones, but if the Steelers called and said 53rd pick for him right now, yes or no, or it's off the table, they really going to turn that down?
Right.
For 1 year of Mac Jones? Why? Why would you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that they say they won't trade him, but I agree with your guys' assessment of that. I think that is we won't trade him for the prices that we've been hearing in the media. But if you want to up that thing a bit, give us a call.
And Rodgers as well. Like, I mean, Mike and Aaron go way back. I get all that. But just take away the personality thing. If you are an NFL coach and you just put in the tape of Aaron Rodgers 2025, are you telling me that's what you want?
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible,
very conservative.
It's
very
exactly. It's very meticulous, dunking and dinking down the field at a very slow rate. Like, look, I think Kevin O'Connell wants to drive the ball down the field probably too much, but I do think that you want a quarterback. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, who is a Hall of Famer, but I find that there are some parallels with how he is continuing to hang around and go out with physically how Peyton Manning looked as well, which is you just don't have any arm left, dude. Like, it's just, and in Aaron's case, he had a great arm. So I'm sorry. I would have, if I'm Pittsburgh, zero interest in doing that again.
Same.
Yeah, I mean,
so I like this. Mac Jones, I like this.
Anthony Richardson. I'm going to give you two teams here. The Arizona Cardinals or the Green Bay Packers as a backup. Because the Packers are going to lose Malik Willis. Now, the Packers did trade their first-round pick. Not that it would cost a first-round pick, but in terms of draft capital, they traded their first-round pick. They do have 8 additional picks between the 2nd and 7th rounds. If the price on Anthony Richardson is like a 5th, I could see them trading a day 3 pick. I don't know that it's going to get as high as like a 2nd or a 3rd for Anthony Richardson and the accuracy problems. But if you're the Packers and you're looking to replace your backup quarterback in Malik Willis with a guy that you feel like you can maybe build something around if Jordan Love gets hurt, I would put the Packers on the radar. And the Cardinals are going to be looking for a quarterback too. With it's funny, I've got the LaFleurs listed because it's both Matt and Mike LaFleur are the coaches of these teams. But if you're the Cardinals, do you keep Jacoby Brissett around? He's under contract for 1 more year. Take a little mid-round flyer on Anthony Richardson, knowing that you're going to be bad in transitional anyways in the best division in football. See what you got in Anthony Richardson. If you don't love it, you're drafting someone anyways in 2027. I think Richardson is in line to be a backup. I don't think he's like, no one's going to trade for him as a starter with his accuracy problems. And I think Green Bay as a backup or Cardinals as a camp battle could make some sense. One of the LaFleurs.
Yes, I could definitely see that. I don't think the cost is going to be nearly as high as you do, though. Richardson, now he's heading into his 4th year. You cannot pick up his 5th year option. So you're literally just trading for 1 year of a guy that has not proven that he can be on the field or he should be on the field. But I could see a team, the Packers, they traded a 7th round pick for 2 years of Malik Willis. That's going to turn out pretty good. You're about to get a 3rd round comp pick for him leaving, and he was good when he played.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. With Richardson, I think that's around what the cost is going to be at this point. I think it's going to be a 7th round pick, a reclamation project for a team on a one-off scenario. And if he has to play, can we build him up? Can we get a system around him? But I think the 2 teams that you brought up for this are like, I like those. And the Colts, I think that they might have to trade Richardson, because if they're going to re-sign Daniel Jones, and those are the indications that we have gotten that that's what they want to do. Daniel Jones, he's hurt at the beginning of next season, right? Late October, November is when he is scheduled to come back from his injury. You have to have an immediate play guy there. And the Colts are the last team in the NFL, I think, that thinks Anthony Richardson is an immediate play guy at this point. So I think it makes sense for everybody.
What if he needs so much reps, right? Like, he's like barely thrown passes since he graduated high school, for God's sakes. What if he, and like, if Mac Jones leaves San Francisco and he even goes like as the 3rd string, what about going to Kyle Shanahan rehab school if you're Malik Willis? Like, that guy is as raw as it gets. Or, I'm sorry, not Malik Willis. Anthony Richardson. Sorry, Anthony Richardson. Going to the Shanahan system, letting him bake for a few years, basically, and learn how to be a quarterback. You're seeing all this great success. I wonder if, going to Shanahan and going, I know that's more of the high-level stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he just needs like some really good coaching and mentoring and preparation.
I wonder if Kyle would take him.
I don't think Shanahan would like him. Because Shanahan, he likes this the pocket passer guy that will do the progressions, and that's the worst thing of Richardson's game. Yeah. So I think like and yeah, like it's like, well, but what if you built it up, right? And that's certainly possible, but the guy that I would draw the parallel there to is Trey Lance, right? And Shanahan was just ripping his hair out and didn't kind of, he
does look terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be there, but I think whether it's one of the LaFleurs, I think that's a good fit. We've already seen Malik there.
Packers.
You brought up Daniel Jones, and I do think he goes back to the Colts on some kind of a like mid-level starting contract. I mean, things were so great for both parties, and he's still pretty young, and he just fit perfectly in that Shane Steichen system. But because he's probably not stepping foot in a regular season game until, like you said, October, November. Like, you're going to have to get through the first quarter or third of the schedule. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs are in kind of an interesting spot because Mahomes tore his ACL on December 14th. Is he back for week 1? So with the Chiefs and the Colts, you've got two teams that probably need like a month or month and a half of a reliable starting quarterback that could then slide into a backup role. And so I give you Geno Smith for either the Chiefs or the Colts as a guy who starts out of the gate for 5 or 6 weeks, then slides into a backup role and gets to go chase a championship ring with either Andy Reid or Shane Steichen. Geno Smith, the Chiefs or the Colts.
I like that one. Yeah.
I like this one too. This would be a really good one for the Colts. Where you have that long runway because Geno, he's going to want to pick a spot. It's probably going to be 1 year where he can audition, and I think because Mahomes his projected he's going to come back sooner, right?
Yeah, because it was an ACL. It was December 14th, but I mean he might miss September, maybe
Colts,
even part of October.
Colts is a great one.
Yeah, I think the Colts one is really good because you can basically guarantee him you're going to be the starter for the first half of the season, and we don't know. Like Daniel, he's in the middle of his rehab. Like sometimes, whatever. Like for the ability to be guaranteed a starter for half the season, that's at least the audition, right? And he saw how good the system was and the supporting cast with Daniel Jones beginning of last season. I think that would be attractive for Geno in trying to rebuild his value over 1 year.
Yeah, Colts definitely. I love that one.
And then that leaves so Ty Simpson could go in the first round. It kind of depends on where. I've got Tua being released. Maybe it's a post-June 1st. I don't know where he winds up. I think there's so much risk there, but he winds up somewhere. But I have Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers essentially waiting for injuries. Or if something goes, if you're the Rams and Matthew Stafford's, he wants to come back and chase a ring and his back goes haywire in training camp. Oh my God, like, who can we call? Derek Carr. I don't know. Put a phone call in. Or maybe Jimmy Garoppolo steps in.
Is Carr the 2026 equivalent of what Tannehill was about 2 years back, where it turned out that dude was on his couch basically saying, if I'm not going to come and start, I'm not playing.
Yeah. Like Tannehill wanted like $30 million.
That's a little arrogant, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, but I kind of think it is that, right? Like, it seemed like Carr ready to move on with his life, and now you're out for a year, and it's like, oh, these quarterback needy teams, bad quarterback market. Like, you start, but then when push comes to shove, is he actually going to take a contract that like he should be getting at this point, or is it going to be like it was with Tannehill, like thinking like I'm the guy 5 years ago, and you're going to have to meet those demands, and the teams are like, bro, you would be a backup for us, like you get that, right? And Derek Carr, there might be some of that this offseason as well.
Yeah. So those are calling predictions. Maybe it's a spoiler. I might have just nailed all of those. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Kyler Murray to the Jets.
I like those.
Glorious disaster.
Thor, give us a football take, Thor. Let's keep going.
The NFL Combine invites went out today, and every year it's like, you go to a party and there's people you expect to see, but then you're like, why isn't that person here? Why isn't that person? Why didn't that person get invited? Right. And every year we have big time snubs that upset me. Now, this list just came out, but I want to give you my all combine snub team. I want to give you one guy at each position that upsets me is not going to be at the NFL Combine.
So these are we were talking before the show. It's not the Brosmer list because Brosmer got invited.
He did get invited.
Who's like the George Washington on the Mount Rushmore of recent history of didn't get invited to the Combine, but is a stud. Like, did Puka Nakua go to the combine?
Yeah, Puka did. Kobe Turner was a 3rd-round pick, same team. Didn't go to the combine out of Wake Forest. You have, I mean, the NFL, they're not infallible. They make mistakes. A lot of these guys, they'll end up being right on, but I think there's some that they're going to be proven wrong on, like they are every single year. There's some guys that I feel absolutely should have gotten invites.
The Kobe Turner honorary NFL Combine snub list presented by Thor Nystrom. Here we go.
So at quarterback, I'm going to go Iowa, Mark Gronowski. He's like this big, he's like 6'3", 230 pounds, and the passing with him.
Iowa, Kansas guy next. Iowa guy next.
Gronowski's very athletic though, and he was an FCS player of the year before. But anyway, some of these other positions more viable. I don't think Mark Gronowski's going to.
Oh, we were just kidding, Thor. We were just
into anything.
Kalen
Black.
That's a homer fine.
Going to running back at Indiana, played in the national title game, obviously national champions. I love the way that he runs there because he runs angry, he runs hard. He's instinctive. He doesn't give you a lot on passing downs, and I don't think he's going to test as a great athlete. So it appears the NFL is being punitive with him, but he's going to hang around for a while. The early down utility speaks for itself. So maybe the value of it's not very high, but I was surprised they didn't invite Kalen Black. The guy that upset me the most that is not getting invited is our boy Ty Montgomery, the Division III darling from the Senior Bowl, who went to John Carroll, started the sport late, a wide receiver who really flashed at the Senior Bowl. And because of that, I am pretty stunned that he was not invited to the Combine. You wonder with the NFL, like, guys, you get that the whole point of this is to give more exposure. And like they always they're leaning towards the bigger school guys. And of course that makes sense because the recruiting rankings, the better athletes are going to get there. But like in instances like this, where this guy went out and was mossing people at the Senior Bowl just 2 weeks ago, the D1 guys, and he's D3. We have very little film on him that isn't granular, that isn't like the Zapruder film. We don't know how he's going to test. This is the guy that should have been at the Combine. This is the guy that we want more information on. Right. So like it's a little bit confusing. Going through the other positions, though, Dan Villari, Syracuse tight end, was a former 5-star Michigan quarterback recruit. So he is versatile on the field. He bulked up to play tight end, H-back, fullback kind of a thing. Vikings don't get C.J. Ham replacement at the end of the draft. Villari, whether late 7th round or priority UDFA, could definitely be a target for that. So I want to toss that out. On the offensive line, I was surprised that James Brockemeyer, the center from Miami, did not get invited. He's another guy that had a good Senior Bowl. Brockemeyer has been good on the highest level of college football, obviously with the Hurricanes. And then his father was a 1st-round pick that played for over a decade in the NFL, Blake Brockemeyer, right, with the original Carolina Panthers back in the day. So shocked he didn't get in. A couple of defensive front guys. Landon Robinson from Navy is like 6 foot, 280 pounds, so it's very unorthodox, but he put up bushels of sacks this year. He just gets into the backfield really quick, but he's also a good special teams player, and I also think he'll be able to moonlight at fullback in a Scott Matlock, Tommy Togiai kind of a way. The NFL teams will do this, bring in the big fella with light feet, put him in on the goal line. So I think Landon Robinson could do some of that for you too. On the edge, another Indiana guy, the national champs, they get the respect for the college football world, but the NFL today kind of put down a referendum on some of these guys. Mikhail Kamara, an edge rusher from Indiana, he was great in college. The pressure rate, the sack numbers, all the different havoc numbers that he put up, they did not invite him because he's short, with short arms. Everything else is there with Kamara, but he's going to have to get into the NFL on another path here. Pro day and everything. He's still, I think, going to get drafted, sure. But being very, very punitive to him here. Last couple guys, Jackson Kuwach is a linebacker from Miami of Ohio that put up great stats last year. The NFL, the MAC linebackers, the undersized guys, they overlooked them. A great example last year of the mistakes they make with this in evaluation is Sean Dolak, linebacker from Buffalo, who would put up just bazooka stats, and then he goes undrafted, goes to the Rams, and he was around all season long. This kid, Jackson Kuwach, could be another one. And then in the secondary, Ricardo Hallman from Wisconsin, a cornerback, very surprised he didn't get invited. And lastly, and of local interest or adjacent to local interest, Cole Wisniewski, the Texas Tech safety dash linebacker kind of hybrid, he developed himself up in the weight room of the NDSU football program, was a standout for the Bison. And I can say this too, he turned down opportunities to go elsewhere prior to his last season of college. That's when he finally sort of succumbed to the bags of money being offered to him from the FBS level for a 1-year sort of audition season. And he was on that Texas Tech defense that was just destroying everybody. And Wisniewski's good. They need to figure out this pre-draft process. Is this an undersized linebacker or is this a big safety? A big box safety, but either way, the NFL is moving towards players like this, and Wisniewski moves around very good on the field, as you would expect, for a defensive back, but like also a guy played linebacker. So that is my all combine snub team.
Who decides who goes, and can teams petition to have guys put in, like with what you're saying, can teams petition to have guys invited after the fact?
Yeah, basically teams put in a list of guys that they want to see invited. I think the Senior Bowl and Shrine get to do that as well. And then you have like a committee that's then sort of picking through. And it's always interesting, the guys that end up getting cut off of that thing. And a lot of times it's because of projected measurables, right? And that's what they're sort of doing here. But the small school guys that can be punitive with them as well, as we see here, the instance of Ty Montgomery. The NFL doesn't get it right all the time. They bring 320 or so prospects to the combine. In future years, why not bump it a little bit? Some of these guys, I mean, there's 40 other guys, 60 other guys we would have liked to see. Some of the snub lists, I just would have liked to have seen them in, but it is what it is.
Thor, who is your, besides Iowa quarterback, who is your favorite prospect on that list of combine snubs?
Back in October, Eric Galko, he's the Shrine Game czar. He would hold it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, he would hold like a Twitter Spaces and NFL draft questions. And Mike Renner, who is now a Shrine Game consultant, but he's also a CBS draft analyst, he would do that show with him, and I would pop in every now and again, and they would have a question segment at the end. And in October, I raised my hand to ask a question, and my question to Galko was, Landon Robinson from Navy was not on any preseason watch list. He wasn't on the Senior Bowl watch list. You guys put out 1,000-player Shrine Game summer watch list, and Landon Robinson wasn't on that. And I was like, I'm just kind of confused because that guy, 10-plus sacks, I realize it's an unorthodox package, but the movement on the field, you can at least get him out there, situational pass rushing on the super, super obvious passing downs. But in addition, the special teams thing, and then I brought up the thing of fullback. Landon Robinson, there was a fake punt a couple years ago, and he took that fake punt for like 50 yards. So we have seen him move in the open field, and it's like, for a big fella, pretty good. And so basically I was just wondering, why wasn't he on there? And Landon Robinson ended up getting invited to the Shrine Game. I would put Landon Robinson at the top there. And again, Viking specific, but it's interesting to think about a guy that could moonlight at fullback while giving you value on special teams, but also as an off the bench, just situational pass rusher.
The new CJ Ham, basically.
Yeah, but yeah.
Position.
Even bigger, though. Even bigger.
Shohei
CJ
Ohtani,
Ham's not 280. He's the Shohei Ohtani
He's playing everywhere.
He's the Shohei Ohtani of combine snubs.
Yeah.
Yes,
essentially.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude. More football takes tomorrow with Thor and Judd and AJ. The football takes are never-ending and flowing. Even though the season ended, the new season, the off-season has begun here. So if you enjoy this podcast that we just launched a couple months ago, again, hit that subscribe button on the Football Takes channel on YouTube, the like button, Apple, Spotify, show some love, and we'll see you guys soon for another round of Football Takes.